Oh, g'day. Just seeing what's going on over there. Hanson and I were just having a moment here. I'm just thinking, you see. I've been through a pretty intense time recently. I just put out a video this morning and put it up onto this youtube.com, this fantastic interweb of basically everything. Anything you can imagine, pretty much. And then I saw that there was this video come up from this bloke called Peter Crone, who he came into my orbit a few months ago, where a playlist of all the different things that, all these different podcasts that he guested on other people's shows had gone up, and on Spotify. And you can find that on Spotify.com. Just put in Peter Crone podcast, and there's playlists that come up there. So you can listen to a few days of non-stop Peter Crone's voice. And I basically did that about 4 times. And I didn't really get that much new from it, as in new concepts, but I got new ways of saying stuff. And I got new ways of reminding myself to stay motivated and stay inspired at different points when dealing with people. So the bloke is really onto it, and he's onto it in a way that is significantly precious to us, because he's walked that walk, and the talk that he talks is from breaking it right down to the most simple, impartial, equanimous, common sense, practical psychology. And you have to come through experience of really being at the absolute end point of the spectrum in every way that spectrum can go, and having lived through that in order to come to that point of understanding the way that this bloke Peter Crone does. To be able to just talk about it off the top of your head like that. And he's doing basically what I'm trying to do here. But he's doing it, well, I actually don't know what he's doing, but the bloke's got some stuff out there on the internet that is worth checking out. And the message that he's getting across is basically the message that I'm trying to get across, and what good old Handsome here is trying to get across by licking my arm, and why I got Handsome in my arms, and why I do what I do, and what the video I just put out this morning, which this notification come up after that of Peter Crone. I'm like, oh, check that out, you know. It's great. Someone's doing something for Peter Crone on YouTube, social media, which is great. That's why I'm making this video. I'm telling you to go and check out Peter Crone. And also, in case he sees this or his people see, there's a bit of a shout out to him. You know, like he's really giving me something of just knowing that there's someone else out there who gets it and talks that way, and in America, in the United States of America, and he's spreading that message in those circles. And his language, your language is fantastic, Peter. I love the way that you communicate, your vocabulary and the way that you communicate. Your presence can be felt, and I know that you're the real deal. You've had to walk some pretty serious yards. Now, I'd like to offer you a dog, but I'm in Australia, so you might have to come and get it and sail back to wherever you want to be with the dog. Because I don't really want to spend lots of time in quarantine and stuff like that. You know, it's a stretch. Can't ever leave these dogs alone. But this is a purebred Patter-Jack-Staffhound Bull Terrier. It's a special dog that I bred intentionally to give to people affected by war, like people, civilized people like you and I, that get trained to and have a particular demeanour about us anyway. That's why we end up being the kind of people that get trained in combat skills to be able to respond to violence. I'm just a martial artist, and I chose not to walk that path of where I might be called into action, but you never know, you know what. But we're called into action anyway. This is how we respond to life. This is also a purebred Paddock Staffound Bull Terrier. Notice the difference? That's what they are. And so there's particular art in all of this. It's not that hard to do what this bloke Peter Crone's saying. All you got to do is practice this division. You know, like when you got to do division, when you learn how to do addition, and then you learn how to do subtraction, and then you got to learn how to do division. Well, it's basically like that. So it's basically grade 4 division. For wherever in the world you are, if you've had an education up to grade 4 in mathematics, then you should be able to apply what Peter Crone's saying to you, or saying to the world, pretty easily. Simple division. Divide this back, trace it 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 back. You get it? And what's in the background here is 1941 International. So there's always something in the background that goes way back. Trace it back. Trace it back. And like division, it just is what it is, you know. The numbers just are what they are. You can't get upset about what the numbers are, you see, but you can get upset about how you feel about all kinds of stuff. But you can't get upset for very long about 6 divided by 2 is 3. And 6 divided by 3 is 2. Now trace it back. What's 2 divided by 1? What is 2 divided by 1? Is it the same as 1 divided by 2? I'll argue that in some point of paradox, life is something like that. 2 divided by 1 is the same as 1 divided by 2. I've been very emotional this morning. In a good way. The fact that this little puppy has gone on to make a little family, father and daughter, with a cat on a leash in the backyard, 4, 5, 6 times the size of the puppy. I'm very, very happy. Going to have a good life. It's not going to be a therapy dog for soldiers, this one. It's going to have a life with family. And so, yeah, as I uploaded that video, then got this notification by Peter Crone, and just the things he said in this short 60 seconds, you know. It's just a quote from the podcast I listened to a few months ago in the background whilst I was doing stuff that wasn't making too much noise so I could hear him. And I listened to that 4 times. I'll go and listen to it all again. Highly recommend that you do. Anyway, I found that it was quite uplifting, you see. I was already crying out all these tears. It's not like I was upset. I wasn't upset. I was crying for the good things in life. But still, you see, when you get that, when you hear a few words from someone who's been through that same stuff, and they're talking about it in a much more eloquent way than me, it does really have an effect somewhere deep in where we live. And where is your mind? If it's not right here, right now, then you're nowhere. And if I don't get you to be right here, right now, by having some kind of other antics that go along with the things that I'm saying. Look at these blokes. I mean, it's ridiculous, isn't it? They're just ridiculous. The things that we do are ridiculous. But those dogs aren't insane because they're not thinking all the stuff that we think. And they're doing the same thing again after that. They'll do the same thing again. But they're not insane. We are. Because we think about it to some degree. We have some degree of cognition. And then we go and do the same stuff again. So, if you're like that, there's a bloke out there called Peter Crone. And he's definitely worth checking out. Cheerio.